Hello and thanks for watching my video. This is another in a series looking at PvP and particularly the guides. So we're going to start off with the Courtyard map. It currently is the only deathmatch map that they have. Deathmatch is different to Conquest, being that you gain points solely by killing your opponents. It does lead to very one-sided games because if you can't kill, or if you're in against a team that doesn't have a particular good party comp, you can score no points. And pretty much after the first engagement, you'll find out if your whole team wipes, that's pretty much game over. It's very difficult to recover from that. But as we can see here, there's a number of ways you can come out of your main base. It is advisable to stick together during this type of map, because if you go off on your own, as you can see here, you get a bit of a view here of how open, the center of the map can be extremely dangerous, or it can be extremely defensible, because if you're concentrated in one place, then you can really go out and cut off any player that goes out on their own. Again, if you do go out on your own, you are likely to be sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, or even 5v1'd. So here's the opposite side. If you come out of your base, you can come out either side. If you look at the mini-map, sort of both left or right, or center. This is a difficult map to master. It's not one of my favorites. So I think deathmatch could be a lot better if it wasn't so. It's the smallest map in PvP. You don't spend much time on it. I would advise doing this in learning a little bit about how it plays, but as I said, it's not my favourite map, and that's why I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it, because there's no real strategy apart from sort of zerging up, really. I can't give anything else, but I might come back and talk about this in another video. We come on to people's second or alternative worst map, and that's Skyhammer. Skyhammer, interestingly designed map. There are a fair few bits that, as we can see here, I'm just joined a 1v1 map. There's 3 points. Obviously, it is a conquest type map, so it's the first 500 points. But here, we have many different sort of levels of verticality. You can even come in this section and hide, and then come out and sort of fire on your enemy. You can go down underneath. We do have unique to Skyhammer, where these panels that if you step on them after a short duration, they will break and shatter. So you can use that to your advantage, which is why people don't like this map. It is a map. The difference between this and say Legacy or even Battle of Kylo is that it isn't really focused a lot on 1v1 player skill. Because you are able to push someone off. I mean, again, look, if we look at the verticality, you can go underneath, you can go above. There's many different levels to this map, which I quite enjoy. But the fact is that you can kill someone almost instantly by making them fall off, or pushing them off. Again, look at how dangerous it is, so close to the edge of the map. If you fall off, that's it, you're dead. But again, we've got these jumping platforms that you're able to sort of get up onto there, offering a bit of verticality to the map. You can go even higher, which people rarely do come up here, but you can go around the other side. You can fire down on people. It just gives that, you've got to keep all eyes all on, around you at the same time. This bit here, I really don't see the point of it. I mean, it's really useless. It's not used anywhere near the points. I can't see the point of having that in this map. They have gone through several different changes. They updated Skyhammer so that the panels, it used to be you were able to break them when you're in stealth. That can't happen anymore. You can also dodge the Skyhammer, which I'm going to talk about a bit later, but there's the entrance to the Skyhammer. That Azure portal there. But let's come around the other side. Again, you can come through different ways to come around, left or right, because it's pretty shielded from, obviously, with this big wall. You can only attack from the two sides. It's not exactly an open point to defend. But yes, you can get up here, but if you look down there, you've got sandworms that will, instantly kill you. If I try and hover over one, there we go. If you do manage to survive the fall somehow, the sandworms will kill you anyway, so you can't survive down there unless it bugs out. But let's go and talk about the Skyhammer. It can be a critical part to the gameplay. because it really does allow you to control a point, and very good for taking out turrets or NPCs. Controlling the Skyhammer here, as you can see here, it's a very narrow sort of part of the map that you know, you can. It's difficult to control. Certain professions are particularly good. You have to interact with it to configure it to your side, and once you've done that, you can press F, and this gives you your Skyhammer view. You've got one to fire down. You come up with this sort of AoE attack, and it's a pretty big, massive attack. Sort of a couple of seconds delay before it fires, or a few second delay, and allowing people to dodge the Skyhammer, which just means that people can have that little bit of flexibility. The Skyhammer isn't too dominating as it used to be. But yeah, it's a very, I find it a very crucial part of the game here. I have to say, I actually enjoy this map. I'm one of the few people that like Skyhammer, pretty much because you, as an engineer, you can sort of, you know, as we look here, you know, you can look, but the problem you have is when you're in this mode, your view changes, so you can't see behind you, and it's only, as you can see, turning your mouse around or looking at the map, you have to keep an eye on people that make a run for the portal, because they will come in and kill you from behind. But I actually enjoy the map because if you've got turrets, you can put them here. It's very useful for skills that don't usually get used, like grabs, or, you know, particularly for, you know, the necromancer or the scorpion wire on the thief. You know, it was a bit of a cheesy, you know, map, because people, they felt it wasn't any skill involved. It was just, you know, if I demonstrate here, you know, say for example the guy knocks me off with a hammer or sort of fears me off as a necromancer, I go off, boom, that's it, I'm dead, and I have to respawn. So that's the reason a lot of people don't enjoy this map, because if players, you know, I have my necromancer runs a lot of fear. The Rune of Nightmare is very good for that. And it just means that you know, players get feared a lot, and unless they have stability, they will find it very difficult to avoid getting knocked off the map. But again, it's a slightly different map, and I think variation and variability is good for the PvP scene in Guild Wars 2. So let's go over on to the next map. We have Spiritwatch. Spiritwatch, interesting sort of map. We have 3 shrines that you have to sort of cap. We have the bear, we have the sort of raven, and we have wolf. And we'll get an orb that appears in the center of the map, and the idea is you have to take that orb to one of your points. But I'll talk about that in a sec. If we look at the point here, this is quite fairly defensible due to this rock here. If you're sort of wanting to avoid attacks, you can either climb up or go around the rock. And you have this sort of area down here. If you want to escape for a little bit, come down here to just get a bit of relief and heal up, and then get back in the fight. There's multiple ways you can come up from to the left, or across the bridge here, or down to the right. Sort of, there's many different paths you can come up to this point. But we come across to the midpoint, which is Raven, and this again is a challenging point to defend. Although the benefit compared to other midpoints is that there's only 2 ways, up or down, and although you can't look at both ways, you can stand here and watch. But you can get a good overview of the map, because you can jump off and get back into the fight anyway, so you can really sort of go from one point to another from this position here. But yeah, it's not too bad to defend this point, as long, you know, you can be looking one way and they come from behind, but overall a decent point to defend. As we come to as I'm going around the different way this time, again, as we head down to you know, to wolf, there's a few different options that you can go. And again, you know, you have the rock to the right that's defensible, similar to the other side, but this is a little bit more open, especially if your enemy's coming out of their red base there. It is a bit tricky to defend this point. Let's talk about the orb. There will be an orb that will appear in the middle of the map, and the idea is that you commune with the orb, and then you move it to one of your points, or to an enemy point. If you are a lot slower, and also you will be, so you can't use invulnerability skills, or you drop the orb, you can't stealth. If you hit it, take it to one of your points that's already captured, then you will get 30 points. If you take it to an enemy point, or one that's not captured, you will get 15. It will decap an enemy point though, so it's very strategic. If you have that orb and you take it to an enemy point, you can decap their point. So that's Spiritwatch, but we'll talk about strategies in another video. Now we're going to go on to the final ranked arena map, which is Forest of Niflhel, or Niflhel, I'm not sure exactly how to say it, I just call it Forest. This one, we have a couple of players that are already playing in progress, but the buffs you get here, the two beasts, Svanir and the Chieftain, they're worth 25 points each for the kill, and they give you a bonus to your attributes. So they're pretty crucial and crucial gameplay. As we see here, this side here is very defensible. You've got sort of, you can come around underneath the wood here. You've also got a vantage point up at the back that a lot of rangers tend to get up on here and be able to fire down on, and the same with the wooden shelf above the sort of that we originally were on. You can even come up from this side here. You can come up and hop up and come around the back and capture the point. So there's a few different ways you can come up. We have the Svanir. Again, as I said, it's a very interesting strategy whether or not you take out the beasts. It can be a game changer, and if you watch some PvP, you know, at the highest level, these matches are, you know, on Forest can swing really dramatically on this. We come to the midpoint though, and the midpoint is very, very interesting because you've got these two vantage points that are extremely difficult for melee characters to attack. If there's a ranger or a necromancer, an elementalist, an engineer, if they're attacking from up these points, they're going to be pretty mincemeat because they won't have anything, they won't be able to damage them. But as you can see here, I'm showing you on the mini-map, you can go either side way round. You've got this map point here. The midpoint, you get a good vantage, you know, as long as you're defending the point. You've got a good view of the entire map, although you are vulnerable to those attacks from above. But you can see, you get a good view. You can see enemies coming towards the point pretty quickly. And you know, this is a crucial point in the game. You know, I don't see, there are a few points that are really, I'd say this and the legacy midpoint are one of the most points fought after. This area here, the middle section, is very rarely people fight there. It's really not necessary. But as we come to the fight at the other side, we look at this point here, the henge. It's very defensible. You know, you can avoid a lot of attacks, particularly from rangers, by going around the pillars. You can come up the back here and sort of attack from down here. If you want to set up some turrets, you can. However, there's only one way up and one way down, or there's more than one way down, but there's only one way back up. So it does, you have to require you go off point. If we look at the base, we actually have two ways you can exit your base. We have the main exit, which comes down right by your point, or the home point. And then we have the side exit, which, you know, you've got a lot of strategy involved in this map. And this exit point here, very, very close to your enemy base. And there's a lot of crossing that goes on. If you want to go from, you know, attack the opposite's, you know, opponent's home point, you can do it by going across here. But they can also come out and cut you off. And then if you come through here, so say you're leaving your base, you're running through, you can cross over again. There's the enemy main base sort of gate, and then you come into their point. So there's different strategies for this map. Very sort of interesting gameplay. One of the, you know, this is why it's one of the ranked arena maps, because again, the buffs are only worth 25 points, but they can change the game around, because if you get both of them, that's 50 points, and that is a big significant advantage over your opponent. What I'll do now, I'll just show you, for example, what, you know, doing that or killing the chieftains like. This is my Conti engineer, so it does cleave them down pretty quickly. I'm not going to try too hard. I'm just going to load some grenades in, and then I'll go in with the sort of bombs. The crucial point here is the gameplay for, particularly for thieves, is to try and steal the opponent sort of beast at this point here when it gets down really low health. Coming in with Heartseeker can really get that last finishing point and steal that 25 points for your team. So again, you want to be careful of that. If you look at the time it takes to decap, obviously you can decap it a very quick, much quicker than you can cap it. And I'm going to talk about this in another video, how the capturing points and the time delay for capturing a point, and why you get a lot of decap builds, that their sole role is to decap a point, because it will give you a significant advantage. You get a lot of NGs or Guardians that will have a lot of CC skills that are knockbacks that knock you out of the point, and will try and sort of decap the point, and then you're not scoring. But yeah, my next video will talk about the strategies in a number of the maps, just to look at, if you leave your point and an opponent decaps it, how will that affect the, how will that affect the score? When should you go for a point? Looking at sort of different options. It's going to be a bit of a controversial video, because it would be my opinion, and just seeing, there are different strategies out there. This would be my focus. But I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and I hope you found it useful, and I will see you on the next video.
Your team is victorious.